So I'll tell you what okay, we're on air now.
Okay.
I actually did my official one that I posted and submitted earlier this morning.
Uh-huh.
Last night when I practiced, I was at 4 minutes. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just add a little bit to my introduction. I ended up being six and a
Hmm.
half minutes long.
No. Ah.
But,
Last time? Oh, go ahead.
oh, no, I was just going to say that's nothing I can do about it. So,
Yeah. Last time I was over on mine too, but I only got like a point deducted, so
mhm.
it's not bad.
Yeah, yeah, I'll take it. It's an interesting subject. I chose
Okay.
my subject, I chose just because President Monson's health has been declining. And then this is also a lesson that we gave last week in primary. And so it's an informative speech on how the new president of the church is selected.
That's a good one.
And so I'll go ahead. I'm going to be good and read it and not try to ad lib it at all. So one of my earliest memories is watching the news with my mother on a cold November morning when I was 10 years old. President Spencer W. Kimball had just passed away overnight. And since we lived in Salt Lake, the death of the prophet was a big deal. So it really did, was the big media story on that day. And I'll always remember how sad my mother was, but I never quite understood that sadness until a few years later when President Ezra Taft Benson had passed away, and I was a little bit older to understand. And now, over 30 years later, I found myself studying this topic so that I can teach it to my primary class, who actually are the same age that I was back then. And as I studied it, I expanded my research to include how a pope is selected so that I could compare it to the major religions in the world. The traditions that surround the passing of a pope go back several hundred years, and over those years, they've become procedures and have been turned into church law. Once the Carmelo has certified that the pope has died and the death certificate has been issued, the pope's bedroom and study are sealed until the new pope is named. From this point on, the Carmelo runs the day to day affairs of the church until the new pope is selected. After a mourning period of 9 days, a funeral is held in the Vatican, and the pope is laid to rest in the crypt underneath St. Peter's. Typically, on the 15th day after the pope has died, the cardinals of the church gather in conclave to determine who the new pope will be. The conclave is held in the Sistine Chapel, and in a series of votes, the cardinal who eventually ends up receiving the highest number of votes is named pope. One of the more recent traditions has been that they burn the ballots, and at the end of the concluding ballot or the concluding election, a special chemical is added to turn the smoke white to alert the crowd that's waiting in St. Peter's Square that the new pope has been elected. And like the vast majority of popes, the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter day Saints serves in that capacity for life. He's assisted in directing the affairs of the church by two counselors, and the three of them make up the first presidency. Organizationally, the Council of the 12 Apostles is below the first presidency, and traditionally, the counselors and the presidency are called from that body. When the president of the church has died, his private secretary will notify the president of the Quorum of the 12, and once that happens, the first presidency is dissolved, and the counselors will take their places of seniority within the 12 apostles. Within the church, there isn't a stated period of mourning, like with the Catholic Church, and typically, though the funeral arrangements had previously been made. And that includes the body of the prophet laying in state in the Hall of the Prophets, which is in the conference center on Temple Square in Salt Lake, which is also where they will hold his funeral. And his interment is typically done in the Salt Lake City Cemetery. When he feels it appropriate, the president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, who's the senior apostle, will call his other quorum members to a special meeting in their council room in the Salt Lake Temple. There he will motion for the reorganization of the first presidency, and that motion must be agreed to by all members. Once it is, he will call his 2 counselors, and they will be ordained. And the tradition of setting of the senior apostle becoming the next prophet actually dates back to the earliest days of the church, when Joseph Smith, the first president of the church, told Brigham Young, who was then president of the Quorum of the 12, that he would be the next leader of the church. When Joseph Smith was martyred in June of 1844, there was a debate among the members of the church on this subject, when Sidney Rigdon, who had been Joseph Smith's first counselor, felt that because of that position, he would automatically ascend to be the new prophet and president of the church. A large meeting was held in Nauvoo, where the 2 men delivered a sermon asking the membership of the church to support their claim as the new prophet. According to published accounts, when Brigham spoke, several members of the congregation thought that it was Joseph himself speaking, which confirmed to them that it was Brigham Young. Unfortunately, due to the politics of the time, the church members were forced to leave Nauvoo for Salt Lake City, and it actually wasn't for 3 years until 1847 when Brigham Young was named president of the church officially. And ever since that time, that tradition of succession has held strong. Oh yeah, then we're supposed to show a picture or something, aren't we?
Yes, visual aids.
Yeah, there's my visual aid.
Aww.
It's a picture of the Prophet Joseph and President Monson that I keep just as a reminder of that constant succession.
I love it.
So there we go.
That was so good.
Thank you.
That's crazy that you went through. How many prophets? 3 now? 4?
Just since I've been alive?
Yeah.
Let's see. Lee, Kimball, Benson, Hunter, Hinckley, Wands. I'm on number 6.
Wow.
Lee and Hunter were only prophet for a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
So,
what was President Hunter, like 2 years or something?
9 months.
Oh, that's what, yeah. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, he actually, when I was 19 and I submitted my paperwork to serve a mission, President Benson was still a prophet. And he had died while my paperwork was in Salt Lake. And so I got my call from President Hunter. And then he died when I was out in the mission field, maybe 6 or 7 months. And then it was President Hinckley the rest of the way for me.
Wow. That's crazy. All right. You did so good.
Well, no, that's okay. It's a puppy.
She's barking at her guinea pigs. She loves them or she wants to eat them?
She wants to eat them.
But sometimes she just wants to snuggle them. She snuggles them and then she wants to eat them. I love it. Good job, Carl. Did you already present to the presentation practice?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. They liked it. One of the comments was that I should have had, for my comment on that meeting with Brigham and Sidney, that I should have referenced where I got the quote from.
Okay.
And so, but they didn't say anything about the time, which surprised me.
Did they know how long it had to be?
I would think that they would, because it's not like this happens, once a year or something.
Yeah. They probably just didn't notice, because mine on the last one didn't comment to me that I went over.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the last one actually did comment to me that I was a little bit over.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I think it just depends on who you get in the department.
Maybe they're not focused on that. They're just focused on your actual presentation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, good job. And then I think I have to call you for mine,
yes.
Right?
Yep. Cool. So I'm going to stop now, and then I'll wait for your call.
Cool.